Some critics said that this photo bears exquisite sentiments. What do I mean by that? Or what do they mean by that, right? Maybe the father looking away from this tragedy that's about to happen or it's happening. The mother's with him. The mother's with her sick daughter, looking away. The curtains kind of covers the or the father's face is hiding behind the curtain. It's this space that intentionally creates that sentiment. This is a moment that's so well set up. That's totally set up, but looks like real. It looks like happening at the moment. It looks like the sentiments is in the air. So this, in terms of conveying that sentiment, the sadness of this family, right? Because it happens in this very private domestic space. In terms of conveying that sentiment, this photo is successful, but the way to make it is to piecing together. So, compared to how we take photographs today, you might have a question, right? Is this still part of photography? Is it more about painting, or is it more about photography? Think about that. 5 different negatives to make one photo. Is this mixing the real with the very artificial? Because the composition and everything, the design, and there's likely a sketch, just like film. You have the storyboard, right? It's likely a sketch that's produced before taking the photographer went ahead and start photographing different figures and different scenes and piece them together, right? So it's artificial. There's artificial elements in it, and there's the real, because all the figures, they're real people. It's pretty hybrid, mixed form of what is it? Of what? Of photography, or is it of painting? Is this a new way to paint, or is it a right way or a new way to photograph? Think about that. Another example will be from the Camille Sylvie, also an artist, photographer. At the time, a lot of the photographers, especially photographers in this kind, that designed the scene, they were first painters. They're first painters, and they turned to be photographer, because photographer was kind of a new thing. Just like for example, David Hockney, who's a very famous artist already nowadays, still alive. But he's, because of this iPad, this new tablet, that enters the 21st century, he started to use tablets. He started to use the iPad to paint, to draw, and create artworks. So this is just a new skill, a new method for them to continue to create whatever they've been creating. So photography, to a lot of the artists, they were a new technology, a new way, a new method to paint. Painter turned photographer. A lot of them, almost most of them, with painting backgrounds, training in painting. And same as this portrait. We're talking about portrait. Remember the early portrait that we've talked about, and remember the portrait that I show you, that I have in the show. I had this little show and tell story, opening up that daguerreotype and show the brother and sister to you. compared to this photograph. The background is artificial. It's more celestial. It's like in the sky. This is Mrs. John Leslie as Truth. He's been being portrayed as a angel, right? Dressed as an angel, holding the wand in her hand, in the background. Right, so this is also likely to be at least two negatives to produce a photograph like this. Why did people like Sylvie, like Robinson, like Rylander, why did they created this combination print? Why? What are they doing here? What are they trying to achieve? Are they doing a favor for photography, making it or incorporating it into art? Or are they doing some kind of damage to photography so that it blurs people's way of seeing photography as really what it is? What's the function of photography? The function of photography, is it just to be a servant, right? Just use that method to serve art, to produce painting. Just as a servant. Help us make more art. Or is photography by itself and in itself a form of art? Just at the time, artists did not realize, did not discover that potential of photography. When would they discover that potential? Very soon, in the next couple of modules, we'll talk about, there's one movement, big movement that we'll get into. That is pictorialism. And it's in pictorialism that we'll discuss more. That we'll discuss more about this old question: is photography art? It's at the time that we will circle back. We'll remind you of all these photographs, all this good tries that the artists, photographers have tried, along with, say, Margaret Cameron, artist that we've discussed at the beginning of the semester. So I will see you again, and that question is photography art. We'll see you once again when we get to pictorialism.